Ladies and gentlemen, this is Al24 Midnight News Edition, coming to you live from Algiers, and these are today's top stories. In the presence of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, Olympique Chlef surpassed Belouizdad club and gained the Algerian Cup title for the second time in the history of the club. With the aim of examining the reality and future of the Algerian-German collaboration and to play the role of mediator in Russia-Ukraine conflict, Algerian Foreign Minister landed in Berlin as a European tour closure. In the latest sign of progress in talks to end the 8-year conflict, Saudi Arabia and the Houthi authorities have exchanged 64 fighters' bodies in the borders. As he admitted the failure of the global financial system, the UN chief called for a debt relief mechanism that supports payment suspensions to make borrowing more affordable for poorer nations. Hello again and welcome. I'm your host Abdurrahim Kashur, and those were today's top stories. On Thursday evening, Chlef Club won the 56th edition of the Algerian Football Cup by beating CRB Belouizdad 2-1 after an extra time in the final game that was played at Miloud Hedfi Stadium in Oran, in the presence of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune. Goals of the game started by the Cameroonian striker Lionel Wamba, the player of CRB, from a penalty spot at the 8th minute, before Tawfiq Addadi equalized for Chlef Club in the second half. Now, attacking the opponent in the second half, Chlef scored the second goal by Brahim Morsli to win the title that has been long time unreachable for the club since 2005.
مبروك علينا.
Congratulations to us. Second, congratulations to Asso Chlef and their fans and all the province of Chlef. As I said it before and repeat it today, we were a bit under pressure ahead of this match as we played a championship game before playing the cup final. And it's not easy to get ready for the final, but thank God, thanks to the concentration of the players and their determination, we won the cup. As we say, we hoped and suffered with the help of our staff, coach and administration. And I believe that the good conditions provided by the administration this week were behind this victory.
To a different matter now, the Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf finished his European tour on Thursday, landing in Berlin for a working visit. According to a statement from the Algerian Foreign Ministry, Attaf led over a working session to examine the reality and future of the Algerian-German collaboration, as well as the developments in regional and international files, while joined by the German counterpart Annalena Baerbock. The same source mentioned that the two sides discussed the occasion's impetus in their bilateral relations in a number of different fields, including the ambitious shared goals for green hydrogen and renewable energy. Also, the Algerian Foreign Minister spoke in regard to the Ukrainian crisis, in which he confirmed that President Tebboune's initiative to mediate between Moscow and Kiev is a purely Algerian proposal. He also explained during a press conference with his German counterpart in Berlin that Algerian mediation carries a peace mission and contribution to peace between the two friends of Algeria.
It is very difficult to see what is happening. It hurts us. It hurts a country to see what is happening between Ukraine and Russia. That is why President Tebboune suggested a mediator role to push ahead with peace so that there be a consensus between the two countries. Those are two friendly nations for Algeria. We want to fill the role of mediator. It is an initiative we took up, and President Putin made very clear in a news conference, I accept this mediation. He would also like to see readiness from Ukraine. We want to build a bridge between the two countries. That's our aspiration, and it should be understood as such.
In a similar line of thought, Mr. Attaf emphasized that Algeria and Germany's dedication to principles based on observance of international law and the United Nations Charter indicates support for the Algerian mediation to bring peace to Ukraine.
Germany and Algeria are two countries share common principles: respect for the United Nations Charter, for international law, states, sovereignty states, territorial integrity, respect for each state's right to equal and unabated security. I think that we may have different perspectives on this basis. However, we don't dispute about these founding principles. As we can see, there is still an opportunity for mediation to establish the right to a peaceful resolution to this crisis, which has confounded the system of collective security. Therefore, it is our duty to defeat the confusion and set up a system of collective security based on the values we agree on.
The Algerian Foreign Minister also reaffirmed the agreements between Algeria and Germany to improve communication and cooperation about the situation in the Sahel region and the Sahara as well, in particular Mali's path to peace and reconciliation.
Germany is almost part of our region because it is concerned with all the files and crises there. Mrs. Minister, you spoke about the role of Germany with regard to Sudan, and you are also present in the Libyan file. You are also strongly present regarding the security situation in Niger. The former German president vacated the special position, the special envoy of the Secretary General of the United Nations, regarding Western Sahara, and you play a significant and active role in the international mediation in Mali. Additionally, you are a part of the wall that we are attempting to build to thwart terrorists in our area.
German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock praised the important role played by Algeria in achieving energy security in the world. The German Foreign Minister appreciated Algeria's efforts in its regional sphere to spread security and stability in Mali, Libya, and the Sahel region. The minister also renewed her congratulations to Algeria on its election on a non-permanent member of the Security Council, expressing Germany's readiness to share its experience drawn from its recent membership in the Security Council.
فيما يخص العلاقات الثنائية أشاطر تماماً.
Regarding bilateral relations, I totally agree with what you said in relation to the promising prospects of cooperation between our two countries in the field of renewable energies, foremost of which is green hydrogen. We hail and welcome the signing of an agreement between Germany, Australia, and Italy on a truly historic project, a giant project called South H2 Corridor. Algeria is fully prepared to enter this project in order to implement in cooperation with you and with other European partners. But it is truly a project that could lead us to the desired objectives, which is to cover 10% of renewable energies in Europe by 2050.
In a related matter, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, on Thursday congratulated the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, on the election of Algeria as a member of the UN Security Council. In a letter sent to the President of the Republic, Antonio Guterres praised the Algerian President for his efforts for a more peaceful world. He also hailed Algeria's continued attachment to principles and values of the United Nations Charter. Algerian Minister of Trade and Export Promotion Tayyip Zitouni revealed his country's intention to open new permanent platforms to promote Algerian products in Africa. The Algerian minister said that the opening of the permanent trade fairs in Senegal and Mauritania will take place next July, and another exhibition will be opened at later time in Niger.
تحرص بلادنا قلت اليوم على وضع مخطط كذلك للتعريق.
Algeria is keen to establish a plan aimed at making the production capacities achieved by our national economy known. This will be through the creation of platforms to promote national products. Pursuant to a decision by the President of the Republic, we will open platforms to promote our national economy outside Algeria and in our African dimension, to enter into the core discussion on the African Free Trade Area. Next July, we will open 2 exhibition halls in Dakar, Senegal, and Nouakchott, Mauritania. And right after those 2 premises, we will open a 3rd one in Niamey, Niger.
The Director General of the Algerian Agency for International Cooperation for Solidarity and Development confirmed that the main objective of the training course in the field of local development for executives from Mali, Mauritania and Niger is to gain experience and build capacities in the field of local administration within the framework of allocating $1 billion for developments in Africa. This came on the sidelines of the ceremony of distributing certificates to the beneficiaries of course at the agency headquarters in Algerian capital. In a different matter, the special envoy of the British Prime Minister for Economic and Trade Relations with Algeria, Lord Richard Risby, has announced the exemption of 90% of Algeria products to be exported from Algeria to UK from taxes. This was after he was received by the Algerian Trade Minister Tayyip Zitouni for a meeting aimed at discussing ways to strengthen economic ties between Algeria and Great Britain.
There is a program of work today that we have done with our counterparts in Great Britain related to trade partnership and job creation here in Algeria, and also investment, in which there was a proposal to exempt about 300 products from taxes, which will eventually enable them to access British markets, and we are honored to work on concrete things.
We
have seen a huge increase in commercial activity between our 2 countries in the last 2 years on many levels. And what is really significant about this week is that we essentially are abolishing all taxation on Algerian products, 90% coming into the United Kingdom.
In a developing diplomatic scandal, Morocco is accused of espionage and blackmail to influence France's position on Western Sahara issue. Hassan Burkan in this report.
The French Communist Party youth movement has accused Morocco of engaging in espionage and blackmail to sway France's stance on the Western Sahara issue. They are calling on the French government to impose sanctions on Morocco and resist its pressures. This revelation adds to the growing list of diplomatic failures by the Moroccan regime, according to observers.
We express deep concern about Morocco's pressure tactics on the Western Sahara issue. The French government should not be held hostage by the Moroccan monarchy.
The Moroccan government, in its undiplomatic practices, allegedly attempted to blackmail the French presidency to secure support for its positions on Western Sahara. The use of the Pegasus spyware program, including spying on the French president and ministers, has been highlighted as one of the forms of blackmail.
These revelations of massive espionage through Pegasus and corruption of European parliamentarians should result in tangible sanctions.
The youth movement of the Communist Party warns that the strained relations between Rabat and Paris would further deteriorate due to the Makhzen's actions and espionage campaigns. This crisis has reached its lowest point, deepening the rift between the 2 countries, with even President Emmanuel Macron allegedly being targeted.
A spokesman for the families of 51 Moroccan immigrants said that they lost contact with them 12 days ago after they were supposed to cross irregularly toward the Spanish Canary Islands in the Atlantic Ocean. This coincides with the announcement by the Spanish authorities on Thursday of the rescue of 150 immigrants. In Africa still, Tunisian President Kais Saied called for building a new world order. In a speech during a high-level round table, Kais Saied said that if the world is experiencing a crisis today, it can only be resolved based on the rules of justice and fairness. Saeed stressed the need to move towards a new world based on a single view of humanity in which the African is like the Asian and European as well as Americans.
In order to achieve the ideals we share, justice, freedom, and the building of a new world order, because by keeping this order that reaches limits, we want to move forward, and we don't want to be victims of this global order, which can build another time at the expense of our interests, our sufferings, and our blood. We want a new world.
A United Nations spokesperson said Wednesday that the UN is concerned about the attacks on healthcare sites in Sudan, and particularly the impact of such attacks on women and girls in the country. Farhan Haq, deputy spokesman for United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, said that there is an estimated that about 263,000 of women are pregnant. He added that 1/3 of them will give birth in the next 3 months. All of them need access to vital reproductive health services. At least 19 people have been killed in a Plateau state in central Nigeria, which is witnessing a renewed bloody clashes. The local deputy in South Manogo said that 14 people were killed in that area, referring to the destruction of homes and the burning of property. The northwestern and central regions of Nigeria are witnessing tensions and bloody clashes over the exploitations of land and water resources. And from Africa to the Middle East, 3 Palestinians were killed, targeted by a Zionist march near Jenin in the West Bank, the city that witnessed a wide response to calls for a strike for 3 days of mournings for the souls of martyrs, at a time when settlers continue their incursions into occupied cities and the destruction of Palestinian property. Houthi media announced the completion of the 3rd exchange of war dead bodies between the Houthis and the Saudi army, which includes 64 bodies in the latest indication of progress in talks to end the 8-year conflict. A video for Al-Mashriya channel showed the exchange of bodies on the Saudi-Yemeni border when delegations from both sides met after weeks of negotiations in Saudi Arabia, while it was not clear exactly when the exchange took place. Moving on now to Europe, Ukraine counteroffensive on 4 main fronts of the war has slowed down on account of the stiff resistance shown by Russian defensive positions, with Russian President Vladimir Putin saying that he sees a lull in Ukraine's counteroffensive. Mohammed Khatal in this report.
President Vladimir Putin said in a statement broadcast on Russian state television that Moscow had seen a lull in Ukraine's counter-offensive and that Kiev had suffered heavy losses in attacks in the south.
As I've already said, and as it is well known, the Ukrainian armed forces started the counter-offensive on June 4 using their strategic reserves. Oddly enough, currently we're seeing a certain lull. It has to do with the fact that the enemy is suffering serious losses.
Putin's comments came as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said his army's progress was slower than desired, adding that Kiev would not be pressured into rushing it. However, Putin warned against Ukraine's potential for continuing the offensive, while hailing the courage and bravery of Russian fighters who managed to repel the offensive.
As of today, we see that their potential for an offensive has not yet been exhausted. There are also reserves that the enemy is thinking about where and how to bring in. However, as I just said, and I want to say it again, thanks to the bravery and heroism of our fighters and the readiness of our commanders to repel any aggressive actions against Russia, I think that the enemy has no chance. They understand that.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal said on Thursday he was certain Ukraine will receive this year the $6.5 billion it needs for its rapid reconstruction from pledges made at a conference in London.
During our multi-agency donor coordination platform yesterday, we discussed this additional need for 6.5. We understand how to cooperate with G7 countries and with international financial organizations, and I'm sure that nearest time after this conference, according to the results of this conference, we will collect all needed money and will invest this for rapid recovery needs in Ukraine.
As the war between Russia and Ukraine goes on, the two belligerents continue to trade accusations, the latest of which is the allegation that Russia is preparing to carry out a terrorist attack at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, a move denied as a lie by the Kremlin.
In the same line of thought, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned Thursday that Russian forces were preparing a terrorist attack at Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant. Ukrainian President Zelensky said his country's intelligence agencies had received information showing Russia is considering an attack at the plant involving a release of radiation.
Отримала інформацію про те, що Росія розглядає.
Now our intelligence has received information that Russia is considering the scenario of a terrorist act at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, a terrorist act with release of radiation. They have prepared everything for this.
On the other side, as a response for these accusations, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency had just visited the plant and rated everything highly. Dmitry Peskov said that Ukraine's allegations are probably another lie.
It's probably just another lie. It's another lie. You know that there has just been contact with the International Atomic Energy Agency on the spot. The assessment by the agency is high. They have seen everything they wanted to see. There are plans for contracts between Rafael Grossi and Alexei Likachev. In the near future, our dialogue and cooperation with the IAEA continues. We are interested in continuing these contacts, and the International Atomic Energy Agency is interested. Everything else is a lie.
The UN chief called for a debt relief mechanism that supports payment suspensions, longer lending terms, and lower rates to make borrowing more affordable for poorer nations, as he admitted the failure of the global financial system. Marab al-Iwar in this report.
L'architecture financière mondiale est devenue dépassée, dysfonctionnelle et injuste.
Delivered remarks by UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres at the opening ceremony of International Summit for a New Global Financing Pact hosted by France caused shock in Paris, after he admitted that the global financial system has become unfair, failed to protect the poorest countries, and has become unable to respond to the current challenges.
The international financial system is in crisis. Halfway to the 2030 deadline, the Sustainable Development Goals are drifting further away by the day. Even the most fundamental goals on hunger and poverty have gone into reverse after decades of progress.
UN top diplomat exposed the current global financial system, which according to him has abandoned its goals of establishing justice between countries by siding with the major Western economies while granting excessive loans and concessions to the West.
It is clear that the international financial architecture has failed in its mission to provide a global safety net for developing countries. The reason is simple. Like Mia Motelli just told us, this architecture was built in the aftermath of World War II. It essentially reflects, even with some changes, the political and economic power dynamics of that time.
The World Bank and the International Monetary Fund are two examples of the international development banks that are being discussed at the Paris Summit. Following the financial and economic crisis, there has been an effort to repair a damaged reputation and win over the South, particularly those from the African continent.
Nous avons un système financier.
We have a financial system which is the fruit of a past consensus, which has shown its effectiveness. which has been extremely helpful during the past decades, but which is no longer going fast enough, is no longer fully adapted, and that we must realign with our objectives.
After a crisis that rattled the financial markets and banks, the Paris meeting for a new global financial pact unveiled a new picture that the West is seeking to present regarding the system, with its attempts to grant the African continent loans that the West had withheld for 3 years.
During his participation in Paris International Summit for a new global financing pact, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed stated that African countries are facing unprecedented financing pressures that are forcing them to focus on debt deals and management rather than development. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you ever so much for being with us in this late hour. For more updates, you can follow our social media platform. And all I can say at the end, take care of yourself. Have a blessed Friday and good night.